just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit ethos.com/sports. Ethos.com/sports.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
The technicians you can trust with your house keys. Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
Opening day coverage is brought to you by Hollywood Casino. Stop by Hollywood Casino every Wednesday in March from 12 until 2 to register for your chance to win opening day tickets. Your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Figure things out, but I want to go out to San Francisco and get some perspective on who will be the Chiefs' left tackle we know in 2025. That, of course, is Jalen Moore. We welcome in Sterling Bennett. He covers the 49ers for our sister station, 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area, and also hosts the 49ers Access podcast. Sterling, great to have you on the show. We appreciate the time. I know it's a busy day for you. Let's just start with Jalen Moore in general. Who are the Chiefs getting here?
They're getting a player that I think is ascending. I know for San Francisco, there may have been some interest to bring him back as a backup or a right tackle this year, but there really wasn't much space when you know this team wants to recalibrate. But I think for Kansas City, they're getting an ascending player who's only 27 years old this year, only a 2-year deal, so there isn't much commitment there. However, the money is relatively large. But I think Jalen Moore is a phenomenal player that has not really gotten the chance to start, and I think he's starting to bloom in the NFL at the ripe age of 27.
When you say, like, what it is about his game that people liked in particular, I saw, like, look, it's offensive line play. I'm not a former offensive lineman. I can look at the Pro Football Focus grades for when he's filling in for Trent Williams, look pretty good. What was it about it that he stood out? Was he better in pass protection? Was he good in that run scheme over there in San Francisco? What kind of stood out about him as a left tackle?
Well, I think for Moore, it's more about just being overall consistent. This was his best season in 2024. Like you said, he filled in for Trent Williams when he got hurt about halfway through the year, and Moore, not to say looked like Trent Williams, but there was almost rather not a lack of or a dip of production from the left tackle position. He played in 8 games. He had 5 starts last year, had a really impressive 73.1 pass blocking grade, according to PFF, like you already said. Only allowed 1 sack and 10 pressures, and for a team that, not to kind of rub it in, but watch their offensive line get torn to pieces by the Philadelphia Eagles, the last thing you want to have is Patrick Mahomes running for his life again in a playoff game. And I think Moore can bring you consistency. Again, he's only 27 years old, but it's not just the pass blocking. Also a 70-plus PFF grade as a run blocker. So I think he fits the scheme out there in KC. Obviously, San Francisco had interest in bringing him back this offseason, but he actually, funny enough, despite having Trent Williams and a breakout Dominic Pooney last year on the offensive line, was one of just 2 offensive linemen in San Francisco to have PFF grades over 70 when it came to pass blocking and run blocking. So a very consistent player last year for the Niners.
Other than not a ton of snaps because he's been a backup for the beginning portion of his career, the Chiefs obviously are going to give him a chance to prove he can be a dependable left tackle. Is there anything else that, I guess, on a potential con side of this that stood out to you, maybe, and something that maybe is there a liability anywhere with him?
I mean, the honest thing is he hasn't been a starter really ever. Like, that's the big thing. Can he fill the shoes of being a starter in the NFL? Obviously, there's a lot to like and a lot to say there's a starter in Jalen Moore, but you don't know until you find out. And I think Moore, again, has the ability to be a starter. However, sometimes you sign a guy to a big deal or you commit money to him and you hope they can be a starter in the NFL, and they get there and it's too big for him. Now, do I think that's the case for Moore? No, but we're not going to know until we find out. So you're getting a player that has never been a starter in the NFL. However, he also has sat behind one of the greatest left tackles of all time in Trent Williams. So I would like to believe Moore is probably more prepared than most being a 27-year-old left tackle, finally getting a starting job in the NFL.
I'm always curious on the other side. What was the reaction in San Francisco when you saw the number 2 for $30 million?
It was pretty big. We all were like, wow, can't believe he got that. But there are reports about earlier yesterday, I think, by Jordan Schultz that said he'd probably get double digits in free agency. So it wasn't too shocking. I think there was maybe this cheer of, like, great, compensation picks are coming our way in the Bay Area next year. That said, Moore was a heck of a left tackle, heck of a backup tackle for us, and I think that San Francisco, while isn't scrambling to replace him, they're going to miss him next year behind Trent Williams, who has missed so much time in recent seasons.
We're talking to Sterling Bennett. He covers the 49ers for our sister station 95.7 The Game. On a smaller move today, Jordan Schultz reporting the Chiefs are signing running back Elijah Mitchell to a deal worth up to $3.5 million. I know he did not play last year. Just kind of fill us in a little bit on what the view is on him. Is this just kind of a, hey, you're hoping something's still left kind of thing?
Yeah, Elijah Mitchell has been one of the more perplexing players in San Francisco because you saw his rookie season in 2021. He becomes this team's number one running back, goes for over 900 yards on the ground. He has 5 touchdowns. And I think there was this thought of Kyle Shanahan thinking, if I can have Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell in my backfield, I have something cooking here. And obviously seems he's great in his own right, but Mitchell just can't stay healthy. Being there at training camp and OTAs, he's a consistent sideline player. And what I mean by that is it's hamstring injuries, it's broken fingers, it's strains, it's leg injuries. There's just so many things that hinder Elijah Mitchell from being the back I think his rookie season showed he can be. But like you said, it's very low risk, but a medium-sized reward, if you will. I don't know what the status of Kareem Hunt is out there in KC, but if you have Kareem Hunt and you have Isaiah Pacheco back, I think getting a player like Mitchell who has shown some things in previous years when he's healthy, if he's your fourth running back going into the year, I think he does give you, on the off chance he's healthy, starting potential. And we saw last year, Pacheco goes down, Casey has to run the football. I can see Elijah Mitchell giving you a few spot starts or even maybe giving Pacheco or Kareem Hunt, if he's back next year, a few snaps off. He's a good player. He just can't stay healthy.
They're going to keep Brock Purdy in San Francisco now? I'm just kind of curious.
I think so. It feels like the plan. All the indications we're getting out here from John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. I know there's been a lot of reports of how much he'll get from Adam Schefter and others along the way, but they seem committed. The only question is for how long and for how much. The number that kind of sticks out to me is they maybe probably don't want to commit past a $55 million per year contract. And I have a sneaky feeling that they want to keep the years under 4 or 3 for him. So they're committed. I'm just not sure how much Jed York and Prague Marate, the front office guys up here in the Bay, are really committed to Brock Purdy despite how good he was the last couple of years.
Lastly, when we talk about wide receiver market out there, Brandon Ayuk out there, the Niners just give him an extension a year ago, but is he actually going to get traded, you think, this offseason?
I have a hard time believing that San Francisco wants to take on roughly $50 million in dead cap after already trading Deebo Samuel, then having to move Brandon Ayuk. Is there a way it happens? Sure. But when you watch DK Metcalf go for a second-round pick and a late-round pick and get paid $33 million per year, I have a hard time buying into the fact the team wants to give San Francisco anything worth of value for Brandon Ayuk. He has injury. He may not be healthy till November. And if then we know when you have a torn MCL, a torn ACL, and other ligaments in your knee, the odds you come back and it look the same the first year are pretty slim. And I don't think a team wants to commit to giving San Francisco draft pick compensation or high draft pick compensation, that is. And I think it behooves San Francisco more often to keep him in the Bay for 1 year, hopefully get his value back up and trade him next offseason where the guaranteed money's lower and they can save some money on the cap.
Sterling Bennett covers the 49ers for 95.7 The Game. Thanks so much for the insight and hopping on a busy day.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love free agency and love having to be on with you guys.
Absolutely. There you go. He also hosts the 49ers Access podcast. Got a little insight on Jalen Moore. And the way he started talking about it is like, and it sounds like this is probably what the Chiefs, if you're looking for their optimistic slant on the signing, is hey, he's someone that's maybe undervalued and has a chance now to prove that
he said on the rise. I like to hear that.
On the rise, and clearly the Chiefs must think so as well. And that he thought he did a nice job filling in for Trent Williams a year ago. But the biggest question that we all are going to find out the answer to during the season is he capable of being an every down 17-game left tackle in the NFL? And that's what he's going to be asked to do, and he's getting paid to do that. And as we mentioned the dollar amount, he admitted that in San Francisco they were surprised to see how much money he got. But I'll just point out once again, for those just joining us for the first time today, the going rate for left tackles on a weak left tackle market. He gets his 2 for 30. Well, Steelers left tackle Dan Moore signed for 4 for 82 with $50 million guarantee with Tennessee, and I don't think there's a huge gap. Now Dan Moore has played more games, so if you're just saying you know that would be the discrepancy. But I will take the risk on a 2 for 30 versus a 4 for 82 for a guy that I actually don't think is all that much better than what the Chiefs just got for someone you're asking to give you 17 games of average to above average. He's got a ceiling where there's a chance it ends up being even better.
I am surprised to find out Dan Moore got more per year than Ronnie Stanley, even considering the age. Because Ronnie Stanley's been proven to be like a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle when he is available and around, and so like that's always a bit surprising to me. Like, really? Dan Moore, okay. I mean, again, if I had my choice of any of them, I would have probably gone Ronnie Stanley. But if I'm hearing him right, this is a player they value. And like when we ask ourselves the question, hey, if this guy's so good, why is he available? And the answer is because he's behind
Hall of Famer,
a Hall of Fame left tackle, Trent Williams, at least part of it, right? Maybe he gets on the line or traded some other time before this, but that part of the reason he's available is that Trent Williams was in front of him, a deal that the Chiefs tried to sign years ago, and obviously values something that Kyle Shanahan teaches on the offensive line because he's continued to try to go after those guys.
Josh Furnier, our Royals insider, is going to join us at 1 o'clock. He'll join us at 1 o'clock from Arizona. We'll get the latest.
An early random question today.
We might be able to do that. Busy day in the NFL. The legal tampering period opened up at 11 o'clock our time. The Chiefs with 2 signings. If you're just joining us, we've just been talking about Jalen Moore. They also signed a veteran running back, Elijah Mitchell. And as you just heard from our guest, Elijah Mitchell, you're taking a flyer. It's a guy that hasn't stayed healthy in his career. You're not going into the season thinking you're going to count on him. He's a piece, part of the running back room on a 1-year deal. That's what you're looking at. Some other moves just to get you caught up around the NFL in the last 10, 15 minutes or so. The biggest deal that was just signed recently has to do with the Detroit Lions. Free agent corner DJ Reed, according to Jordan Schultz, plans to sign with the Lions on a 3-year, $48 million deal. That includes $32 million fully guaranteed. He was one of the top corners, obviously, that were available on the market. And that's kind of where we're at now on some updated moves as more and more just keep trickling in. But that was the latest that I saw, at least, unless you've got some other ones too, Cody. I know we're both looking at different Twitter's back up, but we're on some different platforms.
We're all just kind of like trying to search, No, I don't have any other outside of that.
I think that was the most up-to-date
Those are the moves. You know what? Since we don't get to do it at the normal time very often because we got Vern from spring training, Drew, let's do a little random question of the day.
Random question.
We can talk more Nick Bolton and others later. The random question of the day is brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Results every week and then receive free support for life. Online at awaken180weightloss.com. For you, Gold. For you, Drew. Text line 913-586-7965. Of course, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. Live streaming on all those platforms, except for Twitter right now because of the outage for a little bit.
I think it's back up, though.
But the stream isn't. Or it wasn't. Maybe it is now.
Okay.
Screw it. Maybe it is now. I haven't checked.
I guess
it was down for a little bit.
It might be up now.
Who cares? You can find us on the other 3 platforms if that one's not available, so don't worry about it. The question I have for you today is about eating, Gold, but not in the normal way that I would typically embarrass you. There's a new research study, and I want to find out whether or not this interests you. So, everyone's always trying to get healthier, right? You're trying to go to the gym.
Yeah, I was there yesterday.
Lose a little weight, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you did a little time on the treadmill.
Yes, I did.
Do you worry as you get older about forgetting stuff or like your memory and that stuff? Because there's a new study out.
I mean, I'm not old enough to where I'm worried, but eventually I will be, I'm sure.
So you want to stay sharp, right?
Yes.
You want your dad to stay sharp.
Yeah,
whatever,
absolutely,
right?
Yes.
I'm asking whether or not you'd be willing to do this because there is a new study that suggests chewing on wood, like a hard wood-like substance, can boost levels of naturally occurring antioxidants that helps you have a better memory. So, are you interested, Gold? Would you, instead of chewing gum, chew a piece of wood? If it was going to help you remember, would you do it?
On wood?
I mean, it's a research study.
This is
per Yahoo News. This is a reputable outlet.
If there was more evidence than just the one study, yes.
If it had been proven that if you just
it became a definitive
gnawed
thing
on a stick from the outside, you are going to have a better overall memory. You're saying you're in.
If it became a definitive thing that was and we just knew it was just no different than any other thing where we just knew that was good for you. Yes.
It wasn't like junk science or
I don't know. Otherwise, just chewing on wood,
seems like it'd be a little bit inconvenient. They're like, it's like chewing on gum. I'm like, well, but chewing on gum is not like a task. I don't want to have to be involved in this. It's a little bit different. That's why I'm asking whether or not you're willing to, what level. You don't have to bite him now. It's too late. I don't even remember saying that.
You said it in February.
What did I say that about?
Drew might know more. He's the one that made that drop. I don't know what the context was. Yeah. It was the same day you said.
They constantly thought it was bigger than it was,
But chewing on wood, I don't know, man. I don't know. Drew?
Interested? How
pass.
healthy do you eat, Drew? I don't ever see you eat. I don't ever see you eat anything. I see you in the morning get like a Code Red and occasionally maybe a breakfast sandwich, but not always a breakfast
Every now
sandwich.
and then I'll go to McDonald's, before.
And then I've never seen you eat lunch, I don't think. Maybe you eat it back there, but you do it very quick and like
most
hidden.
of the time, no. Unless I will say, there's times that we do have things brought to us. That's the only time I eat lunch. I typically wait until after the show.
Chewing on wood, just like, well, you're just gonna go just take a twig from the yard and just get a splinter in your mouth.
Someone says I'm a carpenter for 26 years. I barely remember my kids' birthdays. This study is total BS.
Yeah, don't mind me, guys. During the break, I'm going to run outside. I'm going to get a twig to give Gold and to give you, Cody.
I've never been that horny in my life.
How many people were what's the
Is this
What's
a thing?
the study size? It was like hundreds of people.
So it's a thing.
This was a real
Or is it a suggestion?
No, it was a real medical study. I'm not making it up. It was a real medical study.
I will say, Gold, if you when you go to the gym next, if you do see somebody just chomping on a piece of wood, just bring in a.
The article I'm seeing says chewing on hard material, raw carrots, and other hard actual foods likely count. This is saying that
they're saying even like
helps
a carrot
brain function. Chewing has long been known to increase blood flow in the brain. Yeah, I'll choose the carrots over a piece of wood.
Totally.
But this specifically was talking about like a pencil or the other things. Garrison's got to stop chewing on pens. Said switch over to pencils,
Some says they use tongue depressors similar to popsicle sticks for the wood. So that's the wood we're talking about.
And they studied this based on, like dogs are always chewing on wood. They were trying to figure out
So
why.
if you chew on a popsicle stick, is what you're saying. Okay.
I mean, I guess like it'd be like having like a toothpick. Gold's getting like the GBs or something.
Yeah.
I don't think he's enjoying the idea of like.
I'm just thinking of the feeling like biting on a popsicle stick just has like a.
I know it's like grainy and awful.
Yeah. I'm good. Someone says, does a toothpick and all these other things count? I don't know.
I think a toothpick probably is not big enough.
You're saying this is something that people do while they exercise, or they encourage?
No. It's just a study for like a brain booster. People are always.
I'm going to be on a damn
to not forget
treadmill. I'm going to choke on a.
The guy doing the bench press, and then you.
How many miles are you up to? You still doing the same amount of miles on the treadmill? Or
yesterday.
upped it?
No, I just 35 minutes on the treadmill ends up being over 2 miles, and because I'm not jogging the entire 35 minutes. It's
today's a good enough day. Maybe you do it outside.
It is beautiful out. I'm wearing shorts, which feels good just to have shorts on today. I was worried the studio was going to be a little warm and everything.
I just teach my class outside, but it doesn't work.
Even though the treadmill can get boring pretty quick, I still think I like that better than trying to do the exact same equivalent while walking like at the park or something.
Yeah.
I know, and trust me, it's gorgeous today. I'll probably take the dog on a walk, but I don't know. Like if I were to walk around the lake at the park by me over and over, I don't know, like that. I don't view that as much more exciting than just go to one place, hop on a treadmill, and just know what I'm doing and just be done with it.
Listen to music? Or you?
Oh yeah, I have AirPods.
I was terrified. I've seen you on a plane with no music.
No,
and I was like, my God, does Alex just go to the gym with no headphones?
No, you can raw dog on a flight. You can't raw dog the workout.
I did swimming again for an exercise.
Right, Drew? That's what you've always told me.
That's right.
I can't believe how hard it is to swim like 5 laps.
Oh, it's a hell of a workout.
By the time you are done, I just like my whole body is done. It's like I've quit.
Text line wants me to bring in some popsicle sticks. They want you to chew on them during the show. They just want that on camera.
I don't know. I probably have some craft sticks or something. My kids have. Or maybe they have popsicles. I could just get one from there. I don't know. We don't always have popsicles. It's an only occasional thing in the tap
top
house.
Text, Cody. 913-586-7965. You want to read that one?
No, I don't think so.
You don't? You sure?
Joe's taking it dirty.
He just said he knows why his wife doesn't forget anything. That's all.
Now you can infer what the rest of that means.
Yeah, you can raw dog on a flight. You can't raw dog the workout. Great advice, if I must say so myself.
I was concerned. That's all. Just a small thing. I was just a little bit concerned. I can't believe there hasn't been more NFL news in the last 5 minutes.
It's cooled off a little bit, but boy, oh boy, it came in strong at 11 o'clock. Boy, did it ever. And again, the Chiefs with 2 sightings today. We'll get back into that in the 1 o'clock hour today. And as you said, over the weekend, too, Nick Bolton, I know he's one of the most, for whatever reason, one of the more polarizing Chiefs players, I think throughout his entire career. But we know Spags loves Nick Bolton. That's why that extension got done. We can definitely get into that some more in the 1 o'clock hour today.
Between that and Caglione, who we get to talk about with Vern here in a few minutes, it was a fun weekend. Just a lot going on, of course. And then we had our event on Friday, which again, thanks to everyone who came out to Kelly's on Friday night. Somebody said they thought it was more like 60 or 70 people. I went back and looked at the photo. That room, they say, is a capacity of 100 people. And I'll say it was pretty full there for a,
it was a fun night.
Once it got into the full bore, it was pretty full. Shots were being consumed, drinks were being consumed, people were having fun. I got to meet a bunch of listeners I hadn't ever met before.
Do you remember everything you said?
Yeah, I do.
Everything?
I remember pretty much everything I said.
Like when I said goodbye to you, do you remember what you said to me?
Exactly what I said? No.
Okay, I think we need to hear this. Well, wait.
We can get into it. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
No, do you remember? It was hilarious.
I don't remember exactly what I said.
You clearly were feeling good.
Oh, I was good and drunk by then. By the end, I went to another location after that.
I was leaving, and I was saying bye to you and then your wife, and I was about to shake your hand.
That was a crazy moment when everyone was leaving at the same time.
Yeah, I was about to shake your hand, and I said, "Oh, sorry, my hand's sticky from the drink," and you proceed to go.
I don't remember this.
You don't see?
Well, I don't remember this line. I remember this moment. I remember you sticking your hand out and all that stuff.
And you're like, well, obviously it's from the drink. What do you think? I think you...
Oh, yeah.
And you just said that, and everybody just started dying laughing.
That does sound like
That's how I knew Cody was at a different level.
Get a little loose.
That's how I knew you were at a different level of drunk.
Loose. When we get that way.
Oh my gosh.
Those last shots.
Drew was not there. Otherwise,
Drew and I's conversation was much more casual. Said, "Hey, I'm heading out. I'll see you later, Drew."
That was as simple as that.
Someone said, "Who won the drinking contest?" We didn't have a drinking contest. I remember we have to set up certain parameters.
Drew was offered a chance to do it right there in the room. People were asking you to do it, and you said, "Not tonight."
No. I did meet. I think I might have butchered the name. I think Josh was his name. He was the individual who was texting in where him and his girlfriend or wife sleep in separate beds.
Yeah,
and that was
Josh's girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Someone says they remember the guy that got our names mixed up twice. So that happens. That happens quite a bit. Somebody thought my parents were there anytime we go to Kelly, someone thinks my parents are there. Got a listener confused, thinking a listener was my dad. That happened twice since we've been to Kelly's.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Did you get a girl's number too? Because that happened one time when we were at Kelly's too. So I just want to make sure.
It did not happen. I'll be honest. The male to female ratio at the party was. It was
someone on Twitter called it a sausage fest. I said, "Hey, look, man."
And the majority of let's be honest to the situation. Majority of our listeners and sports talk radio listeners are men. That's just the reality of how it works. We appreciate everybody that listens to the show, but that's just if you're going percentage wise, chances are it's going to be a little bit more male. That's just.
Someone says, "I just remember that guy who got your guys' names mixed up a couple of times throughout the night." I was like, that was a good one.
Yeah.
There were several great moments. I hope maybe we can do it again in the future. You just have to keep listening to the show is the pretty simple reality of that.
All right, up next, we'll continue our discussion. I said talking about Jack Caglione. We got into that a little bit earlier today before the NFL news was all over the place. So we'll talk with Josh Vernier, our Royals insider, about what he's seen the last couple days out in surprise. Plus, we'll talk more about Nick Bolton's new extension.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
98 years. That's how long Overhead Door Company of Kansas City has been repairing and replacing garage doors. Locally owned and operated since 1927. Headquartered in Olathe. Always look for the iconic red ribbon of the genuine, the original Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. For same-day repair service 24/7, call Overhead Door Company of Kansas City, 816-221-0072. Or schedule online at ohdkc.com.
Man, have you been feeling like tired, a little run down, lost muscle mass, all of those things, right? They can be a sign of low testosterone. Don't wait. Go find out. At the Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple test with their on-site lab, and you get the results back right there. I know you're always worried. You're like, oh, what's it going to be like? No, it's not your typical doctor's office. All their physicians specialize in treating low T with their testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each individual patient, right? You're a different person. Everyone has different treatments or different needs. They treat those individually with over a decade of experience helping patients just like you with personalized treatment plans to optimize it for you. Look, if you're a current patient, Low T Center offers a $150 referral credit for each new patient that you refer in addition to that, and you should be checking that out as well. Look, if you're feeling run down, why not get your levels checked? Go get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
This week, FanDuel is bringing you a Dog of the Day Profit Boost token. One of the best parts about the tourney is when an underdog takes down the powerhouse. And right now, those upsets can get even better because if your underdog bet wins, you'll land even more winnings with the Profit Boost. This is your chance to ride with the long shots, the scrappy teams, the ones that refuse to go quietly. So if you've been waiting to join FanDuel, then March is the perfect time to do so. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. All you need to do is visit FanDuel, use my promo code KFNZ to download America's #1 sportsbook today and back your Dog of the Day with the Profit Boost. Because after all, anything can happen in March. FanDuel, an official partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Wager of at least plus 100 odds required. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Get out with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold once again telling you about our friends over at Centric, and we've all been dealing with this brutal weather in Kansas City. Maybe you work outside, and look, you've just had enough. Well, you can start a brand new career with our friends over at Centric because they allow you to advance your career on your time with their flexible schedules.
You choose your curriculum, go with that new career path, and stop worrying about what the weather will do for you. Call our guy, Russ Mondry. He's been with Centric for 16 years and will be with you to guide you every step of the way. Go to Centric.com now.
Some things just go together, like peanut butter and jelly, or a Casey's spicy chicken sandwich and a 49-cent medium pound drink, or a Casey's breakfast sandwich and a 49-cent pound drink, or even Casey's limited time Italian deli sliders and a 49-cent pound drink. You get the idea. It's not crazy. It's Casey's. See store for details.
No one brings more care and expertise to your lawn and landscape than Ryan Lawn and Tree. Get your free lawn Instaquote in minutes at ryanlawn.com/spring. Sign up this month and take 50% off your first application with Ryan Lawn and Tree.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com. Like you know to check you have gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So if you want to save money, check Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hey, Joy. Oh, you are glowing.
Oh, hey. More like Mira joyed that Miralax helped me go. I was so backed up. Tried mega coffees, prune juice, everything. Then Miralax. And hello, gentle relief without the harsh side effects.
Ooh, how does it work?
It works naturally with the water in your body for constipation relief. Find Miralax today at your local retailer.
Use as directed for occasional constipation.
Hey, not to be dramatic, but you should smell this. It smells so good.
Whoa, that's quite the reaction to mixing and matching Gain scents. Let's hear another from Ashley, who mixed Gain products and went...
I'm so excited.
Yes, you are. What about you, Isaiah?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And Emily summed it up like so.
It is just chef's kiss.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Mix, match, more happy with Gain.
T-Mobile home internet is all about speed, value.
What you doing, Zach?
I'm rehearsing. There are so many benefits. You got to talk fast.
T-Mobile home internet ranks #1 in customer satisfaction for home wireless internet by J.D. Power.
Wow, you are good.
Try singing it. T-Mobile has price lock.
They won't raise your rate on internet.
Hulu and Paramount Plus on them.
Get T-Mobile home internet all in for just $55 a month with auto pay and any postpaid voice line. Additional terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother got life insurance from Ethos, and it only took 10 minutes. And he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online, no medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit ethos.com/sports. Ethos.com/sports.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
If you've been thinking about a brand new vehicle, well, Max Motors is the spot you should be checking out. Hey, it's Alex Gold for Max Motors, telling you once again why Max Motors is the place to go this spring if you're thinking about getting that new vehicle. Like a new 2025 Ram 1500. Right now, it's up to 15% off MSRP, plus 1.9% for 72 months. Stock number S250016. Or maybe you're looking for a little bit different vehicle for the family. A new 2024 Chrysler Pacifica Touring L starting at $37,000. Stock number S240379. The weather's starting to get nicer. You're going to be out and about more. Maybe you're thinking about those road trips for the summertime already. Why not get a new vehicle, and why not go to the best in the Midwest at Max Motors, where they're going to walk you through the entire buying process. They're going to explain to you the total cost of ownership, not just what your monthly payment will be. And they've got the best financing options available with the max trade-in values in the Midwest. See dealer for details. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car, maxmotors.com.
Go to 965thefan.com for the Fiery Hot Sevens contest, where you can win a $30 instant scratch ticket, and one person will win the grand prize, a Bobby Witt Jr. autographed jersey and framing, all thanks to our friends at the Kansas Lottery.
Hey, Royals fans, it's Vern. The Hot Stove Show is back every Thursday night at 6 o'clock from spring training all the way up until opening day. This is your home for Royals baseball, 96.5 The Fan, KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
1 o'clock hour on a busy day here in Kansas City. Coming up in 10 minutes, we'll get right back to the NFL. Legal tampering period well underway. The Chiefs with 2 signings today. They have their new left tackle, at least for the next 2 years. Jalen Moore comes over from the 49ers. They also signed veteran running back Elijah Mitchell. We'll get you caught up on any other moves that happen and have been happening throughout the day, plus Nick Bolton's extension throughout this hour. But let's head out to Surprise, Arizona to talk some Royals baseball for a little bit with our spring training coverage here on 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by Park and Go, KC's premier airport parking destination. We welcome in our Royals insider, Josh Vernier. He's got his roundtable with Michael Massey and Kyle Isbell coming up later on this month. That'll be the day after opening day. That's Friday the 28th out at Hollywood Casino, 6 o'clock event. Going to be a ton of fun, plus a meet and greet afterwards. I know you'll have a chance to talk to Massey and Isbell then, but I understand you also just got done talking with Sam Long, and the last time maybe you spoke with him, or we talked about him, I should say, on this show, was when he was coming off, maybe a dangerous situation.
Yeah, we thought his hand exploded after he took a line drive off that bad boy, and then it caromed off of his head. So, no, the fact that he could sit down, put a headset on, and give me a quick 20-minute conversation shows that, the head's okay. And he said the hand's doing fine, and we should see him in a spring training Cactus League game in the next few days. So, again, man, the thing that I love to do on these hot stove programs and interviews is, introduce the human a little bit more, understand what it took for them to become one of the best baseball players on the planet, the sacrifice, the commitment, the work ethic, because far too often it's, chalked up to God-given talent, or we talk about a big leaguer as if he isn't one of the best players on the planet. These guys are here for a real reason, and highlighting that is always a treat of mine.
Obviously, the first player I'm going to ask about is Jack Caglione. He hit another massive home run yesterday. I think fans are salivating at the possibility. Yeah, that sound. Dear God, that sound. Was it as impressive live, that home run, that sound, as it is for us on the TV end?
Yes. Yeah. Jaw-dropping. Yeah, especially because that's what you're all sitting around waiting for. Every time the dude steps to the dish, you're like, all right, how far is this one going to go? And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, all right, well, he's 22. It's his first spring training. He's going up against Aaron Savali, a command pitcher, a big league pitcher, a guy that's been in the show for years. And then he comes through and delivers that sound, and it travels 440 some odd feet. And then you talk to him after the game, and he's as impressive in front of a microphone as he almost as impressive in front of a microphone as he is at the dish. I mentioned it earlier. I've never heard a player respond to this question the way that he did. I asked, what was your hope coming into camp? What did you want to show the coaching staff? And his response was that I'm mentally ready, that the mental side of the game, that I'm able to turn the page after an 0 for 4. I'm able to turn the page after a defensive miscue. I haven't been doing this forever, but I've been around a lot of great baseball players, and no one has ever gone immediately to the mental side. Bobby Witt Jr. wanted to be a great teammate. Guys have great things to say that check a box, that impress me. No one's ever gone right to the mental side, which, as you guys know, is often the biggest hurdle and something that at times can take guys years before they understand just how important the right mentality and a short-term memory is. And, Cags is saying the right thing. We'll see what happens when he takes his first 0 for 10 in AA, his first 0 for 15 at AAA if and when they arrive. But he's certainly saying the right things early on.
Just for any fan listening who's going to convince themselves of otherwise, is there any scenario that does not involve injury in which Jack Caglione is on the opening day roster?
No. Now, barring catastrophic injury, no.
When you look at what he does, I guess what's still the scouting report on him, Vern? The most recent one I remember hearing was the same one from college or when he came out, which was swings a lot, swings at stuff outside the zone, but doesn't swing and miss a lot. Prodigious power, maybe doesn't walk enough for what people like. What's still kind of like the story on him as far as the scouts go for the Royals? Or is there something they think he can't do still?
Well, defensively, learning a new position if he's going to move off of first base because there's no playing time right now for first base. It took MJ Melendez a year and a half to look adequate in the outfield. But as far as offense, learning the big league strike zone. And we've seen this with MJ, Bobby. I mean, everyone goes through it. When you're in high school, when you're in college, you could expand a little bit because your hands are that quick, your hand-eye coordination, your bat speed, whatever attribute allowed him to be picked 6th overall, you can get a little lax with, I don't want to say the fundamentals, but you can get lax with the strike zone and expand somewhat because, man, I can get to it. And with my power, I could probably find a gap, even though that's a ball or two off the plate, or that's not in my nitro zone. It's in college, you can swing at anything near the strike zone. In the big leagues, you got to pick a spot and stay committed to that spot. I go back to what Carter Jensen told me in his mindset stepping to the dish. Another top prospect, Carter Jensen, the Park Hill kid, the catcher, also 21, just a year younger than Jack Caglione, two guys that are the future of this organization. He says his two tent poles when at the dish are patience and trust. I know the pitch. I know the area that I want to swing at. I'm going to trust my preparation and remain patient. Even if I'm 0 for 10, I'm not going to start expanding. I'm going to stick. I'm going to trust. Again, going to trust what I've been working on and what I know is my area where I can do damage, where my damage zone is in the strike zone. So that's really it. And the only way that Cax is going to be able to truly find that is by succeeding, failing, overcoming, working through it, and coming out the other side. And again, for as impressive as his performance yesterday was, a homer off of Aaron Savali and a laser beam double to the left center field gap off of Nestor Cortez, as you guys know, if this is a big league game, Nestor Cortez, Aaron Savali, before the game, sit down with their catcher and their pitching coach and the managers, and they formulate a game plan for each and every hitter.
Right.
There wasn't a game plan yesterday for Cags. It's to not trying to sound cliche, but you are working on things, especially when you're the veteran that Savali and Cortez are. Cags is impressive. There's no doubt he could be here this summer, but let's see him struggle at. Let's see him take a pitch at AA. Right. Let's let him take his proper steps to the show, because this is a team that, with or without him, we have playoff expectations. So there's no need to step on the gas pedal for a guy that you believe is going to be a middle of the lineup bat for the next decade in Kansas City.
I'm with you. I'm talking to Josh Fern, our Royals insider. Looking way ahead of the future, early April series against the Yankees. You're like, why am I bringing up an April 14th series? I'm looking at the AL contenders because the Royals were one of them last year, and the Yankees got some problems in the rotation with Garrett Cole, Tommy John, Luis Heel or whatever is out for, 2 to 3 months. The Royals will be playing the Yankees in April without Garrett Cole and Heel, which is great news.
Yeah, unfortunately, they still have Max Fried and I'm sure some other monsters. Carlos Rodon, who we got to we'll see how his emotions are when they take on the Royals. But yeah, Baltimore, a team that's a lot of Royals fans, understandably so, have put in that same group of it's playoffs or bust. They lose their top pitcher in Grayson Rodriguez. Listen, the Royals, to me, should feel as if they are the class of the American League Central. I'm sure Boston's pretty happy right now with the injuries happening in Baltimore and New York. But honestly, Baltimore, you look at that rotation. It's Rodriguez, it's Zach Eflin, and then it's just a gigantic drop-off. So they're putting an enormous amount of pressure on those young bats. And for as much as the American League East is daunting at times, shoot, man, as we saw last year, taking on Baltimore in the wild card series, just get in. And now with this revamped bullpen and your big three at the top of the rotation, and Cags could make that short porch at Yankee Stadium look even shorter come a postseason battle with the Pinstripers. With how healthy this camp has been thus far, knock on wood, Royals fans their confidence should only be growing as the days go on out here in Surprise.
I guess just like now that you've been a few weeks into it, I think this is a question we're going to ask one of the players we're planning on having on later this week. Was from the beginning you said it felt a little bit different, but now that they're a few weeks into training camp or spring training, do you still get this like change in how the attitude of the culture or the confidence? Does it still feel kind of like different at spring training than it did a year ago before this team had won anything? No question about it. Again, last year it felt, and it was immediate. The thing that struck me was how in unison the guys were with the goals. There wasn't anyone talking about individual stats, but there was no sheepishness when talking about our desire, our plan to go to the postseason. And that really impressed me last year. But being around long enough, you could talk about how we're ready for the postseason, but I know there's however small, there is a cloud of doubt bouncing around in that mind, a lot like the Royals going into 2014. Sure, they won in 2013. They knew that they were good, but they didn't know if they were playoff good. And then they ultimately went to the World Series, and then they wanted to just kill everybody in 2015. I don't have the sense that they want to kill everybody, that they have the taste for blood the way that 2015 team did in camp. But there certainly is, let me put it this way, they're not hoping for the postseason. They understand the work that it's going to take, the amount of trials and tribulations that they're going to go through, the difficulty that lies ahead. But there's no doubt in this clubhouse that they're a playoff team. And when you get them in an honest moment, not only do you see absolutely zero doubt, but you do see a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. You do see a touch of resentment that they didn't get past the Yankees, that they didn't reach that ultimate goal. So it's certainly a well-fueled team. I can't compare it to, the thing I would compare it to is maybe how the Royals felt after beating the Angels in 2014, where, man, that was a lot of fun, but we want a lot more. Now, that 14 team right away got a lot more. This team's going to have to wait another 6 months before they get that opportunity.
Josh Fern, you're our Royals insider. He joins us each and every day throughout spring training. He's got his Hot Stove Show coming up again this Thursday right here on 96.5 The Fan. Thanks, Fern. We'll check in tomorrow.
Always appreciate jumping on, guys. Thanks a lot.
There you go. And our spring training coverage on 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by Park and Go, KC's premier airport parking destination. You asked him about Cags, and there was
monster home run, man.
Oh, no doubt. But the answer he gave, which is, look, we can all be excited, and I think it's increasingly likely that he is going to participate this year on the Royals this season. We can stop with the opening day stuff. Like, to me, we'll stop wasting our time.
You and I
please.
both, I've never tried to claim
Yeah.
or requested as much because I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
Do I think they'd be a worse team if Caglione was on the opening day roster and they just shoved him into right field? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Because the offense might play, but do I understand the normal motions
of Hunter Renfroe making X amount of money still? He's never played right field before. It's a whole different conversation if it's June 5th even, and he's raking in Double-A, maybe already up to Triple-A, and Renfroe and somebody else in the outfield are struggling. Totally different conversation then. Like, I get the fan sentiment then. On March 10th, with 11 spring training at-bats, never minor league at-bats other than rookie ball or whatever in fall league, and never playing right field at a professional or even college level, I understand why J.J. Picollo and the Royals don't need to push this kid at this point,
but
even though it's tempting.
Yeah, and I think what's important to note is, like, it doesn't happen often, but for the Royals, it seems like players skyrocket through the major leagues all the time. Like not all that, but like it happens, right? The guys who just give you no choice. He hasn't played enough games to give you no choice. He played 29 minor league games last year. He played 21 in the fall league, if you want to go there. And in those games, he hit 240 with a 300 on base percentage. And yeah, he hit some homers, not like a ton, in 60 games? 50 games.
Yeah.
50 games, he hit 7 homers. Like, they're going to need to, he's going to have to do it. He's going to have to do it in Double-A before they just, like, jumpstart this whole thing.
Let's get back to the NFL. Huge day in the league. League tampering period is wide open. A couple things to get caught up on, then we'll get right back into the Chiefs' moves in particular. Earlier today, there was initial reporting that said the Panthers were signing former Eagles defensive tackle Milton Williams. That has quickly shifted as in the last-minute aggressive push, Milton Williams is now signing with the New England Patriots. So
they spent a lot of money on
not
defense.
so fast. Mike Vrabel gets Milton Williams to come over to New England. That was the latest update on moves. In addition, the Rams have signed defensive lineman Poona Ford to a 3-year deal worth under $30 million, $17 million of which is guaranteed. Those are the latest moves in the last 15 minutes or so. But prior to today, the Chiefs got an extension done with Nick Bolton. And I alluded to this in the noon hour. Like, he's become like such a polarizing player because I think at times
it's a position of low value, I think, is part of what comes up from it.
It's a position of low value, but also that fans have made up their mind, I guess, for a couple years. Is he the perfect player? Of course not. Does he struggle in coverage? Yes. Is he, in Spags' eyes, maybe the most important mind to have out there on a football field for what he wants to execute? Yeah. Is he a run thumper? Yeah, he signs a 3-year extension. Essentially, it's 2 years at $15 million per year. So 2 years for $30 is what we'll call it. It could be more, but that's really what the deal is in terms of guaranteed money. It's a very nice extension for Nick Bolton. $15 million a year. Nate Taylor reported a couple weeks back that they were negotiating between a $12 to $17 million a year range. So he gets 15. And now we're seeing where some of the market is right now with free agents.
It's kind of a wild free agency market.
I think, especially if Justin Reed does not come back, this was also about Steve Spagnuolo, who's the head coach of the defense. This staff gets more say, I believe, because of Andy Reid in personnel decisions than they let on and in other organizations.
However many times Andy stands at a podium and says, well, I leave that to Brett. I think he has more swing.
And I think if they lose Justin Reed, I believe Spags did not want to sit there and say, hey, I lost the guy that makes things work in the secondary from a IQ and everybody in the right place, leadership, and I'm going to lose at the linebacker spot. I think that's what it is. Like, if you would have said they wouldn't have brought Nick Bolton back, I would have said it's more likely Justin Reed is back. I think this was a decision. I don't expect Justin Reed back because this to me was the one guy they view we had to keep because of what he means on a very complicated defensive scheme.
So I've told you, I wouldn't have made this signing for $15 million a year. I think it's high for the value that comes back with Nick Bolton. Do I think Nick Bolton, but it always comes down to the same thing. Like, I don't think Nick Bolton's a bad player. I don't think Nick Bolton is useless in the defense. None of those things are true. I just probably wouldn't have paid that price. I probably would have been in the second round linebacker, replace him, signing Willie Gay for $3 million market, right? I would have just done this move differently because it feels too high. It just feels too high. For a guy who doesn't cover much, I understand how much Spags loves him, and that's why I think he got paid. In the end, Spags thinks his defense won't work with a guy like that. And I'm always kind of cautious, specifically with this current run of Kansas City, of I'm allowed to have a different opinion, and sometimes I am still right when that opinion shakes out, even over people in an entire organization like the Chiefs, and sometimes I am wrong because they have the right opinion on a player, and they bring in somebody who did make sense and is a better fit, even though I wasn't so sure about it. But, like, I can only question it so much if they're just going to go to the Super Bowl every year. Their version of roster building isn't a disaster. Like, them just doing guards and linebackers and safeties hasn't exactly backfired in some huge way over the last 3, 5, 6 years. No, it's gone really well. It's been incredibly successful. I would have gone a different way at linebacker. Am I fine with Nick Bolton being back? Sure. I do not root for him now to not live up to the contract. I hope he's worth even more of it moving forward, you know?
For sure. And we had Spags on last February on the show. I keep referencing it because it stood out to us at the time and how much he talked about the IQ of both Justin Reed and Nick Bolton, but specifically for this conversation, the IQ of Nick Bolton and just how much they trust him and Spags' scheme and what he wants to do. He's got to have somebody like that.
Yeah.
And that is a huge reason why I think he's also back. You know, I'm not saying that they did or didn't love the linebacker class in the draft, and that also swayed them. Who knows, right? I don't know if we'll ever get the real answer to that. But I think deep down it's like, hey, I'm going to lose Justin Reed and Nick Bolton. I'm going to lose the two guys that basically run this entire thing. That would really scare me. I want to get to some breaking news in the NFL, though, because it involves a quarterback, and so anytime that happens, it's significant no matter whether it's for your team or not.
Geno Smith over the weekend?
Yeah, Geno Smith with the Raiders. But no, the latest is from Adam Schefter. Former Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold reached an agreement on a 3-year, $110.5 million contract with the Seattle Seahawks, $55 million guaranteed. The only reason why I was wondering is because of how they were selling off pieces, but when they traded Geno Smith to the Raiders on Friday night, you don't make that trade without having something in the works with another quarterback. And now we know officially that quarterback was Sam Darnold. You would not have traded Geno Smith if you weren't sure you were about to land, in their case, a Sam Darnold. Now, that organization, I'm still confused by what's really going on there because Tyler Lockett
this feels
left,
like a trade
DK
from one guy for another guy, but you also lost DK. Yeah.
Yeah. Sam Darnold, good for him. Gets a nice payday after a terrible start to his career. He earned it. He still cost himself some money the last 2 games with the Vikings. But he lands in Seattle. Yeah, Jackson Smith and Jigba's the top wide receiver there now. They've got some extra draft picks.
He basically got Baker Mayfield money. 3 years, $110 million, $55 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
That is $40 million lighter than I thought it was going to be before the last 2 games of the regular season for Sam Darnold. But it just feels like they were paying Geno a pretty good amount of money there too, obviously, because they'd given him a contract extension. I don't understand what they're doing there either. The NFC makes no sense. I can't tell if the 49ers like their team. They're trying to trade everyone away. The Rams look like they were getting ready to trade their quarterback away, and now they're signing Devontae Adams. That's the most confusing division in football, honestly. I hope Sam Darnold does well in Seattle. I don't blame him for not going back to Minnesota. He's going to take a starting job, and hopefully they'll find him some weapons.
That clears some of the veteran QB market up. So now we're really down to Giants, Jets, and Steelers. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers.
Well, it also means that J.J. McCarthy is the guy.
Oh, for sure. That's the other. Absolutely. The minute they didn't tag Sam Darnold, I think it became somewhat clear that was heading. But you're right.
They want some veterans.
The other winner, Drew. In this entire trade, in the Geno Smith trade, really Friday night, and the trickle-down effect to what happened just now, is McCarthy doesn't have to look over his shoulder. He knows he is the dude in Minnesota. Whether it works out, I have no idea. I think he's got a great head coach to make him successful.
Pretty good weapons there in Minnesota, my understanding.
Aaron Jones is back. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. Not bad. Not bad for you, J.J. McCarthy. I'll be curious, though, now that it's whittled down to the names I mentioned, Rodgers, Fields, and Russell Wilson, right? For the Jets and the Steelers and the Giants. Now, there's the draft. I understand the draft exists, but the Steelers and Jets are not in a position to go draft somebody very high unless they want to go further down the board. The Giants still could go get a Cam Ward or somebody like that. But otherwise, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, where are you guys going? We got to get a break in. Maybe we'll answer the question on the other side.
So.
But if you were the Steelers, which of those three are you picking? And if you were the Jets, which of those three are you picking? We'll get to that plus more on Jalen Moore, the Chiefs' new starting left tackle here in 2025.
Cody and Gold.
I didn't sleep well. I was drunk.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5, The Fan.
Last week, that wind was blowing, which means you probably noticed some signs of damage to your roof. Maybe you haven't gone up there yet, and you want to figure out who to call. That's the trusted roofing expert, Century Roofing. Their no-pressure inspection with the trusted roofing experts will determine if enough damage exists to warrant filing a claim. They've been in Kansas City for 35 years. They've done over 30,000 roofs. They've been voted best in Johnson County 3 years in a row. There's so many reasons to trust Century Roofing, but mostly because you know that they're going to be here to last. Some roofing companies will just knock on your door, say they'll take care of it. They'll look at that wind and that rain and the storm last week and be like, oh, I'll get you. And you can't be sure they'll be around next week. Century Roofing will be, because they've been in Kansas City for 35 years. If you have roofing needs, do what I did and call Century Roofing to figure out how they can help you. Schedule your estimate today from KC Basin, female-owned Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength. Go to centuryroofingkc.com and tell them that Cody sent you.
Men, this is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and you've heard me talk a lot about how treating low testosterone can improve your sleep, your workouts, your energy levels, and more. But today I want to talk to you about your sex drive, because low testosterone can have a significant impact on your desire for intimacy. It can even be a factor in erectile dysfunction, and if you're in a relationship or wanting to be in a relationship, a low sex drive could really be a problem. The good news is that if you're like most guys, treating your low testosterone could really change the way you feel about sex, giving you back the flame and desire that is so important when you love someone. So if you're feeling sluggish and tired, if you're not sleeping well, if your workouts aren't that great, and most of all, if your sex drive is more like a putt, make an appointment at Heartland Men's Health and have your testosterone levels checked. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices, Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
And hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with the USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
This week, FanDuel is bringing you a Dog of the Day Profit Boost token. One of the best parts about the tourney is when an underdog takes down a powerhouse. And right now, those upsets can get even better because if your underdog bet wins, you'll land even more winnings with a Profit Boost. This is your chance to ride with the long shots, the scrappy teams, the ones that refuse to go quietly. If you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time. The app's easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. Just visit FanDuel.com/Alex to download America's #1 sportsbook today and back your Dog of the Day with a Profit Boost. Because after all, anything can happen in March. FanDuel is the official partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Wager of at least plus 100 odds required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable Profit Boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. Choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
I got hurt in a car wreck. Give me one good reason why I should call DM Law.
How about 3 great reasons you should call us? 1, it's easy. You can hire us today on your phone. 2, it's fast. We can start helping you today. 3, the results.
After my wreck, DM Law got me $200,000. Mike's got this.
Call me. I've got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh, honey, it's our favorite leaf filter trusted pro, Matt. Matt, come in, come in.
Hi, Mrs. Sparks. You wanted me to stop by? Is everything okay with your leaf filter gutter protection system?
Okay, of course, silly. We wanted you to stop by for dinner as our way of thanking you.
Yes, to thank you for that free gutter inspection, the free estimate, and what was the other thing?
That lifetime guarantee.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Sparks, those are just Leaf Filter's policies. Everyone who calls Leaf Filter gets a trusted pro to come out for a free gutter inspection and estimate. And every Leaf Filter installation comes with a lifetime guarantee.
So it's not just us?
No, sir. We don't want anyone to worry about clogged gutters ever again.
You mean everyone gets this level of service?
Everyone. They just need to visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule their free inspection.
Okay, but you must be starving. You work so hard.
Ready to love your gutter protection as much as we do? Visit leaffilter.com/deal and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with the sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a honey buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
This report is brought to you by CareNow Urgent Care. Find one near you at carenow.com.
CareNow Urgent Care has 15 Kansas City area locations open 7 days a week. From injuries and illnesses to school and sports physicals, CareNow Urgent Care is here to help you feel better fast. Find a location near you at carenow.com and use our convenient web check-in today.
Opening day coverage is brought to you by Hollywood Casino. Stop by Hollywood Casino every Wednesday in March from 12 until 2 to register for your chance to win opening day tickets. Your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. Legal tampering period in the NFL has been opened up since 11 o'clock today. It has been very busy. Let's start with what the Chiefs have done, then we can get to some of the other moves throughout What's Trending. Kansas City has found their left tackle for 2025 and maybe at least the year after that. A 2-year deal with 49ers backup left tackle Jalen Moore. 2 years, $30 million, a little over 20 or just under $22 million of which is guaranteed. He started 7 games for the injured Trent Williams. We will continue to talk more about him. They also signed 49ers running back Elijah Mitchell on a 1-year deal worth up to $3.8 million, according to Jordan Schultz. Elijah Mitchell missed all of last season. He was on IR with a hamstring injury. As we had a guest on earlier from San Francisco about Elijah Mitchell, said, hey, just can't stay healthy. The question with him is all about health. As far as for Jalen Moore, our guest said, hey, he's got maybe some upside, some untapped potential. But the question, of course, is, hey, can he do it in a full season? Can he show that he's a starting left tackle? The Chiefs, of course, are banking on him being that instead of signing another guy like a Dan Moore, who went out and signed a 5-year, $80 million deal with the Tennessee Titans.
Next up on What's Trending, obviously, as he'd mentioned, legal tampering. Here are some of the big moves that have taken place. Most recently, Sam Darnold, 3 years, $100.5 million deal in Seattle. Reportedly, they offered a similar deal like that to Geno Smith, who did not agree to it, and later was traded to the Raiders. The Milton Williams flipped his agreement. It looked like he was going to go to Tennessee. Instead, heads to New England, where they've been the busiest team in free agency by
most money to spend.
They do have the most money to spend. That hurts. They've Carlton Davis 3 for $60 million. They give Milton Williams. Sorry, now I have too many names in a row. Way too much money on that end. As you mentioned, Dan Moore and some others. So just a busy day in the NFL. Keep an eye on that. There's some rumors that the Steelers are really interested in Aaron Rodgers, but all that stuff hasn't exactly come to fruition yet. Just a busy day. Probably the worst deal, in my opinion, is the Javon Kinlaw one, but there's been a lot of, I'd say, loose money spent.
That's what happens to free agency, you know? Teams have a ton of cap space to reshape their rosters, and the beautiful thing, if you make it to the open market, you're going to get maybe a little overpaid. That's so many guys want to get to the open market. They don't want to be franchise tagged. They want to get to the open market and get their true value, and that's what we're seeing play out today. Elsewhere, away from the NFL, the Yankees' Garrett Cole reportedly needs Tommy John surgery. Cy Young candidate. That's now 2 of their starting pitchers either out for the season or Luis Gil out for 2 to 3 months. So, and the Royals do play the Yankees in April. So maybe
good time to get him, I guess.
You luck out with the way the rotation's going to look.
Get a little revenge, perhaps, you know. Next up on What's Trending, the Big 12 tournament starts this week. Kansas got maybe their most impressive win in like weeks.
Yes.
Against Arizona over the weekend. That was big. K-State continued their slide. Now, Iowa State, that's a better team than them, so that's not surprising. They'll be the 10th seed tomorrow right here on 96.5 The Fan. And then, of course, Missouri will start the SEC tournament on Tuesday as well. Of course, our Big 12 tournament coverage on 96.5 The Fan is brought to you by KRT Muscle Cream. A body in motion stays in motion with KRT Muscle Cream.
So that is what's trending. Let's talk more about the 2 signings today for the Chiefs. And those are the only 2 we know of right now. Maybe there's more. I still think their biggest signings of the offseason will end up being the guys in-house.
Trey and Nick
Trey
Bolton.
Smith on a franchise tag, eventual extension, if you believe that's happening. And then, of course, Nick Bolton, as we discussed. And then, Hollywood Brown back on a 1-year deal. There's a chance those are their bigger moves that they make. But let's talk about the left tackle spot. It's the biggest need. The Chiefs have found in their mind their answer for the time being in Jalen Moore. He had 0 penalties last year in games played, but it was only 271 or 91. I get the numbers maybe mixed up.
About a half a season's worth of snaps.
And he only gave up 1 sack during that. He is not as experienced as the other left tackle options. Ronnie Stanley, though, was never an option. He re-signed with the Baltimore Ravens. Dan Moore was an option, but we just told you the dollar amount. I still think, knowing what we know now, the dollar amount for Jalen Moore, inexperienced as he is, 2 for 30 versus Dan Moore, a lot of experience, still very young, some question marks, and I'm paying 5 for 80. I'll take the guy that has some upside potential on a 2-year deal over the $80 million deal. And the Chiefs, of course, would love for the young Jalen Moore to have a great season, and all of a sudden there's a chance they could extend him after that. But for now, considering the options, Ronnie Stanley not available, DJ Humphries, Donovan Smith, the draft, I think they did about as good as they could in what is otherwise a bad option offseason. I'm not sitting here telling you, like, Jalen Moore, oh, what a stud. They are good to no.
Best guy on the market.
That's not what I'm saying at all. Yeah. I think they need average play. I think he can do that. There's a chance of upside, too. And it's expensive in general, but not if you look at what the tackle market ended up being.
Quickly, Justin Fields has found his team. 2-year, $40 million deal with the New York Jets.
Okay.
$30 million of which will be guaranteed. That is kind of wild for a player who has had 0 success and couldn't even keep his starting job in either of the 2 cities in which he's been a starter. He still gets $20 million a year, but that's also just the way quarterbacks are paid. A backup quarterback got paid $11 million today, and Jimmy G to stay in Los Angeles. So makes sense.
The Steelers are going with either Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. I mean, right? That's where we're at now?
Yeah, reports were that they really wanted Justin Fields, and we're waiting on his decision, and they'll probably move faster on Aaron Rodgers now that Justin Fields is moving on. I guess the Jets were hiring him coming out of the draft, so now that ends up being Justin Fields to the Jets.
So is Russ going to be the odd man out?
I think so.
Or I guess Tennessee's still out there.
Sure. Reportedly, they were interested in Zach Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson's better than Zach Wilson, at least on that end. We'll talk about that here again in a minute in Sam Darnold. But back on what you'd mentioned with Jalen Moore. I think what's missed in here is, like, you and I, we are in no way on this show. Like, I'm not going to crush the move because they needed a starting left tackle. That's the truth. I'm not going to come in here and be like, look at these idiots. No, they needed a qualified NFL caliber starting left tackle. This is probably the cheapest one that was available. Okay, so they went cheap on it. Not trying to pretend otherwise. They could. Ronnie Stanley, who never actually technically hit free agency, went for $60 million over 3 years. You had just mentioned Moore, who went for like $82 million over 4 years. So a lot of money being handed out to the very, very, very few left tackles. I don't think there are other choices. A gentleman earlier today kept texting in that they should have just done a third-round pick for Tristan Wirfs. If that was
How were they trading him? What?
If that was an actual thing, sure. That's not a realistic possibility. The Bucs were never going to do that. And so if we're talking about realistic options for them at left tackle, it was either draft, in a draft full of, as Matt Miller told us, left tackles who might become guards, or to find a guy that for the numbers made sense. Dan Moore is an equally big risk as Jalen Moore. But Dan Moore's risk is $80 million. He started more.
That's what
they
it
are an
is,
equally
yeah.
they are an
He's played
equally big risk. And so if I can get mediocre, and I swear to God, I'll take it. Mediocre left tackle play for the next 2 years, great. And I guess part of the way this works is every 2-year deal in the NFL is essentially a 1-year deal. So if they draft their guy in the third round and he's a future left tackle start, they'll just bounce on Jalen Moore and they'll start that guy, the rookie they take in the third this year. They got time. All they did was buy themselves time so they don't have to go into a season and worry about left tackle.
And I do think there is, I'll say, a very slim chance, but there is also a chance that he ends up now getting his shot after being behind a future Hall of Famer in Trent Williams. There's a chance that he has upside, like to the extent that we are talking this time next year. And like, wow, he was better than average. Oh, they only got a year left on the contract. They should be thinking about locking him up. Like, that is best case scenario stuff, but there's a chance of that. I think there's at least some upside with him, whereas on Dan Moore, you'd be paying him already. There's going to be no upside. Like, he would already be paying.
You're paying a starter level, and you need like top 10, 12 starter level.
I'm not even against drafting a tackle. The reason why I'm more likely to say draft one now than a week ago, if you're saying, hey, didn't you guys just say don't draft a tackle? They're not going to be starters. Absolutely, I did. That's the beautiful thing now. You can draft one in the second or third round. You're not asking to be a day one starter. The same way they were asking Kingsley in the second round last year to be a day one starter. You're not asking whoever you drafted tackle this year. You're saying, can we develop you? We got a year or two of this Jalen Moore guy. Oh, and by the way, if you end up being really good and you leapfrog him, so be it. We'll take that. That's a good problem to have at that point in time. So I actually am more willing to say draft a tackle with my first 2 picks than I was 5 hours ago. I really mean that because I know now that you're not thinking that guy's coming in and starting right away. It's a, hey, we like this guy. We know we need another year to get him ready. I don't hate that. I don't know if I would want to pick 31 still, but second round, third round, I think they actually probably should draft another offensive lineman. Not interior. I don't need an interior.
With one of the first 3 picks on offense, they kind of have to. The interior guy, I don't mind if it's in the third round and it's a tackle who might become a guard, who might become a right tackle, who might become a left tackle, and you just don't know. And you just think they're big and strong and you want to get some information. Sure. That makes sense. And I've seen some other Chiefs insiders now. I can't remember who. Might have been Nate Taylor. Might have been Pete Sweeney. I don't remember which. But one of them was referencing the fact that, DJ Humphries is not ruled out in the Chiefs organization or Donovan Smith. They're not even saying they can't put another guy behind him just as like a little bit of a safety net more than they had last year. But yeah, one of the first 3 picks should be, like, if they took an offensive tackle at 31, at least I know it's developmental. Maybe the guy starts the first year at guard and then moves out to tackle, which is not weird. Or maybe he, lots of choices now. I hate benching a guy. I really do hate taking first-round picks who are not going to play immediately because I feel like those are guys who should contribute immediately. But sometimes it just doesn't work out that way.
Someone on Twitter, at KCRunner351, says, the Chiefs thought Steve Bono was the starter from San Francisco, too, even though he was a backup. Oh, great comp. That totally has an impact on what's happening in the year 2025. Thank you for that.
Those are
Appreciate
unrelated
that.
comps.
Completely related, Cody, because same GM, only 30 years difference. No big deal. I'm sure it's exactly the same thing.
I do think now that the Jets have a new quarterback, it's probably about time we get our guy Vinny Pasquantino on at some point. We got to give an opinion on this. Can you just go ask Michael Massey what he thinks about Justin Fields? The 2 guys who have acted most frequently as our NFL insiders on this show, it's his former quarterback heading over to New York. He might be able to answer some of the questions about what he liked or didn't like about Justin Fields, Might be able to help them out a little bit.
We're starting to get a much clearer picture of who's going to be starting for what teams and everything. Plus, just within the last minute or so, one of the top safeties on the market just got a nice deal. Cam Bynum to the Colts, 4 years, $60 million, according to Jordan Schultz. And so now the former Viking safety ends up in Indianapolis. So just another big move happening. You can see why certain players stayed with certain teams based on what the market is at certain positions. Justin Reed, where he ends up will be interesting, I think. Maybe the market ends up not being as strong and he ends up back
and
here.
Safety hasn't moved at all, really.
Yeah.
So maybe he was, like you mentioned, Bynum was the first guy to drop, but like those two markets have been dead. There's been no guards, no safeties. Like for the most part, that's been kind of stale. Also, Cincinnati's, been bustling out there. Does your team know it's free agency?
At least a little bit
Sitting
more
on
than
their ass out there in Cincy.
Hey, at least a little bit more than teams like the Cardinals or some teams like that. So they are aware. I think they're really focused on getting T and Jamar done. Maybe it got them. Maybe it got themselves a little bit.
Yeah, that got more expensive.
distracted.
That got more expensive.
Every day. Myles Garrett
distracted.
made that way more expensive.
Although there was an update from Ian Rappaport that for T, he thinks it's going to get done sooner rather than later. For Jamar, he said they're close, but Jamar at this point is like, look, I've got time.
Yeah, I still think they get it. I think they get them done
a little bit. Even it seems like I know day by day things go by, but I don't think Jamar is in any rush to get things done either.
Oh, I think they get the deals done. It's just that the dollar amount this time last year was way cheaper. This time last
he would have
week,
taken $36 million a year last year, and it's already over 40 now.
This time last week. By the way, Cincinnati's not alone in this, I should say. The Cowboys, same thing.
Cowboys haven't either.
Micah Parsons, yet again, another star player that they've waited to pay. Now he's going to get what Myles Garrett just got or more. And so it costs them more. This is how we relate it back to Kansas City. We'll talk more about this tomorrow, where the corner market is trending. It's why the Chiefs should be very much interested. Now, Trent McDuffie has to also be interested, but very much interested in getting something done on a long-term extension, because even if he has a year or two left on the contract, because we saw what J.C. Horn just got for $100 million in Carolina today. And we know that Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley are also due.
3 for $60. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's going to kind of change. It was a wild day in free agency. It seems like it's finally settled down, even though
slowly.
The social media app most people go to for like breaking NFL news in the middle of free agency went down. So we were all on
Threads.
I was on Blue Sky. You were on Threads, Drew?
Yeah.
Threads, Gold, is that where you headed?
I had to re-download Threads today.
So did I.
I haven't been on Threads. The last activity I had on Threads was from the Super Bowl you and I were at in Vegas, so last February. My last tweet was from the field. that was the last, or not tweet, whatever they call it on Threads, whatever.
Post.
Last post.
I think they just stuck with Instagram.
I don't use Threads. I haven't been active on that. I have a total of like 5 posts all time on Threads. But today, I'll give them credit. You know what? Today, their platform worked. It allowed the news to get out. It's how we found out about the Jalen Moore signing, quite honestly. So that was nice to have in our back pocket. As someone joked earlier, we had to bring out the fax machines today to get the wire reports.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have known that Jalen Moore was a Chief. And how did people do free agency in the pre-internet
waited
days?
till the paper came out the next day.
I'll
too.
be honest. I've wondered.
That's when you knew.
Or you checked the sportsline.com.
Do you think that in terms of reaction?
thank you.
Would you rather it be social media where it comes in as it happens, or would you rather just get it the next day where all of it is right there in front of you?
Given what we do for a living, this way, this is fun. I don't know about you guys. Today has been a blast because news after news, fresh information to react to, and I love it.
As soon as one deal's done, the next one's
versus
already
us
there.
just waiting tomorrow morning to find out 24 hours after it happened the Chiefs signed Jalen Moore. No, I love that fact. We learned at 11:05 the Chiefs had their new left tackle. That was awesome.
The Cody Gold 180, the final 180 seconds of the show by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Results every week, and then receive free support for life online at awaken180weightloss.com. But yeah, I'm with Gold. Are you kidding? It's way more fun to just like watch it come spill in. Although I've changed. I've changed on a couple of things in that way. I prefer weekly television. I don't need to.
Did you watch the last Severance?
No, I'm like so behind.
Are you too behind now?
Yeah, Millie.
I didn't like this past week's episode as much as
well, the other one was reportedly one of the greatest episodes in television history.
It was. Episode 7 was.
I just rather than binge it, I like having an obligation to a few different shows in which I am only obligated to watch one episode per week.
Quite frankly, I'm very disappointed at this weekend in weekly television that I watch.
Really?
You guys know how much I like the FBI shows.
What happened?
It was announced that Most Wanted and International have been canceled, which is BS to
tough,
me. Complete
Drew.
BS.
Wow.
It has got people.
What's going to replace those for you, man?
So regular FBI is still good. FBI CIA is going to be created, but there are a lot of people who are very unhappy that FBI International, FBI
CIA.
Most Wanted are gone.
Why should they just call the show CIA? Those are different departments.
FBI CIA?
Is it like a joint task force? They should just call it joint task force. Way better name.
My wife and I were down the rabbit hole.
Too many
of
letters.
what the heck is happening? Why would they do this? It was very disappointing. On I think it was Saturday.
Who knew?
that
I
news came out.
guess Doge is cutting the actual FBI TV shows these days too. I didn't know.
It's terrible.
Go figure. I didn't know that was
Cutting
related.
down FBI TV shows,
Same
man.
thing, man. Oh man.
Dude, that's really tough for you. You're gonna have to find a new season of Scooby Doo or one of the other shows you guys watch.
Scooby-Doo.
He said they watched.
I mean, that is a series that he still watches.
That is rich. Yes.
Plenty more tomorrow, obviously, as there'll be more moves. I think by tomorrow's show, we might know who the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be. We'll talk some more as more information comes out around Jalen Moore and see if some of these other Chiefs free agents land anywhere. Does Charles Omenihu come back? Does he land somewhere in the next 24 hours, or we have to wait till Wednesday or so? Same thing applies for Justin Reed and Turk Warden. So a busy day in the NFL. Carrington will take care of you along with Rob from here. We'll hand things off to the drive right here on 96.5 The Fan.